Hi all, welcome back to my channel. In my last video, I talked about the incredible rescue of abducted 9-year-old Charlotte Sena by police in New York, and I mentioned that they said more details about the case would be coming out in the following days. Now, I want to share an interview with you that search leader Colonel Richard Allen with the New York State Police gave WNYT News about the thought process of investigators during their search when they realized they were dealing with a stranger abduction, and how they felt finally finding Charlotte as they approached the 48-hour mark of her missing. He talks about how very little information they had to go on, all the way up until her kidnapper placed a ransom note in the mailbox at her parents' home, and how they were able to identify him by a previous arrest decades old. The police were true heroes in this case. They rescued Charlotte and returned her to her family, and I'm happy to share out what they say they were thinking, feeling, and how they ultimately saved her with all of you. I hope you find it as interesting as I did. I only wish he could have shared more, but maybe he will when he feels it's safe to do so. I know the integrity of the case and preparation for the prosecution of the monster who took her takes priority. Thanks so much for taking the time to watch this video. Stay safe out there, and here is his interview.
First off, I want to congratulate you and your team for finding Charlotte safe and sound. How did it feel to know that you all could deliver that good news?
Oh, it was a great feeling when we hit that residence and she was in there and she was alive and we were able to bring her out successfully. It was amazing.
And can you describe what goes into the search effort with a case like this?
Well, there's multiple facets in a case like this. We have a wooded search, which we bring in our DEC forest rangers who are experts in grid searching and organizing grid search. So they coordinated the park search for us, like looking for her in the woods if she had walked off, wandered off, got hurt, injured, lost, those types of things. We had about 6,000 acres of park up there we were trying to search, which yesterday we had over 400 people out there in the woods searching during the day. And at the same time that's going on, we're doing a criminal investigation on the other side in case, trying to determine, was she abducted, was she a victim of a crime. So we have our investigators, we were working with FBI Behavioral Analysis Unit and several other agencies. Huge team effort. We had tons of resources committed to this to try to bring this to a successful conclusion.
Awesome. And I heard from the press conference on Sunday, you guys broke down the time frame of everything, and you said that because of the time frame, you all immediately believed that it was an abduction. Can you talk about it?
When it first happened, we couldn't immediately jump to the fact that it was an abduction. You know, we had a bike sitting in the road, no evidence of a struggle or a crime. You know, so our first inclination is search the woods, but at the same time, we treat it as if it could be an abduction. So we're working that angle just in case. But we have kids, children all the time, like they park their bike, they see an animal, they walk into the woods and they get lost. You know, we had campers right in that area that saw nothing, didn't see anybody take her, that were close enough where they could see where the bike was and didn't see anything. So we had no indication right away that she was abducted. You know, so we had to do our due diligence, searching the woods, and at 7 o'clock at night it's getting dark, so that's an obstacle for us. And the call comes in at 6:45. We have to get resources up there, get prepared, and start searching that wooded area. So I know everybody looks at NCIS and they have things in place in 10 minutes. You know, we're in kind of a rural area, a rural park, that does take some time to get people in place to get this search conducted and try to determine what we do have. But we immediately start treating it as an abduction, a possible abduction, on our criminal side with our investigators. But we have to verify some things first before we try to confirm of what it really is. Because, like I said, we get these things daily. Kids wander off, they run away from home. There's different things where it's not an abduction, it's not a crime. You know, so we have to rule some of those things out.
Makes sense. And I know you guys got a ransom note about 4:20 in the morning. Is that when you all were first aware that this is an abduction?
That would have been the first solid clue that we had that it was an abduction. Obviously, we were getting into the point. We've done a lot of ground searching. We've covered a good portion of that park. We're under the assumption by Sunday morning that this is more likely an abduction than not. You know, she's a 9-year-old girl. She walks away. She gets lost. She's probably not too far from the bike. So when we get into the woods during the daylight hours, within a few hours of searching that area thoroughly, we start to move towards this is most likely an abduction. And when we come to the conclusion that we think this is an abduction, pretty confident, that's when we send out the Amber Alert.
And you mentioned the Amber Alert. People had questions about the protocol. Can you explain that?
There are certain things that we have to meet before an Amber Alert can go out. And some of the reasons behind it, we get questioned on it a lot. Some of the reasons behind it, every time a child walks into the woods or goes missing, if we put out an Amber Alert, no one is going to pay attention to those Amber Alerts. They're going to be out every day on an Amber Alert. So we have to show the child was abducted, the child is in danger. And even on this Amber Alert, we put it out, but we didn't have a lot of information to put out. Like if you saw you're driving up the thruway, it doesn't say look for this vehicle, look for this. It says Amber Alert, call 511. Because we don't have something for them to look for other than just her. We had no indication of a vehicle. We had no indication of someone who took her. We had no indication of an area where she may have went. So we get the Amber Alert out to make sure people are looking for her, but we still had limited information to put in that Amber Alert.
Right. Makes sense. And I know we got a press release 4 o'clock yesterday evening that you all are now expanding your search, actually reaching out to different sex offenders in that county. Can you talk about that?
We explored every avenue. We worked with our Department of Corrections, with their sex offender registry, and we talked to every potential sex offender in the area. We went to every residence in the area. We spoke to every single person that was in that park that day that we could identify. Any lead we could come up with, we were exploring it and looking at it thoroughly.
Is there anything you could tell us about that ransom note?
There's not much I can tell you about the note because this is obviously an ongoing investigation. Just because we found her, we have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of pieces of this puzzle to put together to assure we have a solid prosecution of this case and that this subject is sentenced properly or prosecuted properly.
Does Ross have a history with you all at all?
The only criminal record he has is back in 1999. He was arrested for a DWI. He has no other convictions on his record. He's been on our radar for a few things here or there, but obviously nothing that would lead you to believe something like this would happen.
Right. And could there be more arrests, do you think?
More arrests or more charges?
More arrests, like do you all think he was a one-man team?
We have no indication that he was working in conjunction with anyone else. We believe at this point it was one person, and there's no threat to the community at this point. But like I said, it is an open and ongoing investigation, so we are reviewing every possibility. So I can't say conclusively, but we have no indication of anything like that at this point.
And then we know the state park is still closed. Are you guys still doing work out there?
We are maintaining the park for now as we do our investigative steps. We want to make sure there's nothing else we need there before we open it back up. There are a few things that we're still looking for that we may or may not be in the park. So we're still doing interviews. We're still processing crime scenes. So until those things are done and we're confident we don't need anything in the park. We have no ongoing searches going on in the park right now. We're just securing it until we're sure we don't need it.
Let's see. I want to make sure I got everything. Here's your question. Were you all looking at Ross before the ransom letter?
We were not.
Okay. And then, is there anything else that you need from the public right now?
Not right now. I want to thank the public. We had a tremendous response from the public, from the family, the community. We had an outpouring of support. We had an outpouring of leads that came in from the community. They reached out to us. We tried to track down everything that came in, but that community up there has been outstanding to support us and to support her family.
Awesome. And what was that like to be able to tell her family, like, you all found her, reunited?
It was an amazing feeling to be able to tell them that, hey, we got her and she's alive. As time goes on, you get into that 48-hour window, and you start wondering, as law enforcement, we know the clock's ticking. The longer we take, the less chance we're going to bring her back alive. And it was actually almost 48 hours exactly from when she was taken till we got her back.
And how often do you all get the chance to deliver good news like that?
Situations like this, to be honest with you, we don't get too many cases like this. We get abductions of children, which are usually family members, people they know. A random act like this, we don't see this very often. These are few and far between. I mean, this is a disturbed individual that took advantage of an opportunity. We believe we don't know of any connection to the family and him. We're working on a lot of things. This is a scary act.
It is. Anything else you'd like to add that I didn't ask?
No, I would just like to thank all of our partners. We had people from all the state agencies. You know, we had state DEC, we had state parks police, we had DOCS, we had Saratoga County Sheriffs, we had Schenectady County Sheriffs, Schenectady Police Department, and the FBI was phenomenal for us. They flew people in from all over the country.